Hi, loves. Welcome to AW Confidential. Today's conversation centers around a young woman with undeniable talent and no safety net. Writer director Sergio Vizuete joins us to discuss the film Becoming Vera, which follows an 18-year-old pianist aging out of foster care as she navigates ambition, betrayal, and survival in Miami's Latin jazz scene. Enjoy. Hola, Sergio. Muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo.
Y muchísimas gracias por el espacio.
I I have to tell you, I loved Becoming Vera. It's
Sí.
such a sweet and honest story. Why was it important for you to tell this story now? What inspired you to take this journey?
That's a great question that you actually say now also, because it's a very now kind of film. Several things. As you can see, it's the story of a creative person, right? And that's me in many ways. So, all creative people, we go through a very, very similar journey to what Vera is going through. But also, in many ways, it's the story of an immigrant, because it's the story of a person who is trying to find her way in a very, very foreign world to her, right? And it was very important for me to demostrar que los latinos, si luchamos, podemos llegar a algo, right? Because that's what we came here for. We came here to fight. We came here to find our future, and that's what Vera is doing.
And I did feel that in the story. There was something that was interesting to me. We all have different perspectives when we watch a film, a series. Now, as the writer and director, I want to ask you this. Is Vera's gift really about talent or is it about something deeper? There were so many different things that were intertwined because it was about her gift. It was about being a foster, aging out the foster system. It was about how certain things happened during the trajectory of the movie that I don't want to give out too much, but where she lost a piece of herself when something was taken from her, something very personal. So I want to know, as from your perspective, what was the film about for you?
Not giving up. Yeah, that's what the
Felt
film is
that.
about. Not giving up and finding your voice, because that's what that she's doing. Even though she doesn't know she's doing that, that's what she's doing. Like finding her voice, believing in herself. That she's not believing at very first, right? But then, she gets to all that by not giving up, and that's what I think is actually her talent, or if you will, her.
Have you ever felt as a creative, I think we all have those moments. Have you ever felt like giving up, and what was that sort of moment that pushed you forward, that thrusted you forward? I think there's many moments like that as a creative. And I think as human beings, especially in the world we live in today. Can you share a moment that stands out for you?
I mean, to your question, have I ever felt like giving up? I think that I have felt like giving up like 1,000 million times. And then, yeah. And then, after that, it's about, kind of like, putting yourself together again, or gathering yourself back up again, and sort of like, knowing that if you are gonna fail at something, it's better if you fail at something that you love than not fail at working in a bank.
I can completely relate to that, more than you know.
Exactly. So that's what I think that helps me, at the end of the day, realizing that, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail at something that I love, right? In a moment that I have felt like that, there are so many, you know.
But is it like your faith? Is it the dream that keeps you going? Is it a combination of things? What's your driver? I think we all have different drivers. I mean, for some people it's fame, for some people it's money, for some people it's pride. But what's that driver for you?
The driver for me right now, it would be my children, but I mean, I wanna, like I'm saying, and it's been always, the driver for me, it's been always when I'm old and ugly and right and muy viejito, I want to look back and say, you know what, yeah, I was there and I tried it, and I found every bottle, and right. And now I want to give my children that kind of, like a when they look to the dad, they say, hey, that's el loco peligroso that we had as a dad. So,
¿Cómo dice? Se me olvidó la señora, Huertas, creo. Sí se puede, todo se puede.
todo se puede.
Yeah,
Right.
that's very
Yeah.
true, very true. Now, Vera ages out of the
Mhm,
foster care system, and I think that's another sort of plot within itself, another storyline that it's heart-wrenching. And, she turns 18 along with her friends, Jake, and I forgot her third friend's name, but they age out of the system, which can be an incredible, just vulnerable transition. As
mhm.
I can only imagine it. How did I thought it was really interesting. How did you approach telling that reality without portraying her, Vera, as a victim? Because I think that's very hard to do, to find that balance, and you did it beautifully.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The thing is that they don't think of themselves as victims. They don't look at themselves like that. I've worked with foster children because I did a campaigns for Voices for Children. That's the actually an actual organization that it's also portrayed in the film, right?
Yes.
As a commercial director, I've done campaigns for them, and I've worked with foster children that age. You see in themselves that they don't think they are victims. Just that's the life that they're living. And, some of them they want more, and they are fighting to right. I mean to get there and kind of like the same way that we're all doing, right? So I didn't wanna portray them as victims because I think that it wouldn't be fair to them. So that was very important, actually. That was very
Wow.
very
Well, I definitely I felt it. I saw it. It was powerful, and it was understated. It wasn't like it was in your face or anything.
Mhm,
It was just beautifully the way it flowed.
mhm,
Now, I have to mention this because towards the end, and I want to say it's the last 10 minutes, I gasped. My heart just was beating so fast. So it's hard not to give it away, but she gets to this competition,
uh-huh.
and he's all this man Hector has already taken something from her
Mhm.
when this other pianist, her competition, sits at the piano and plays that song, and you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry. I mean, it's almost that moment where you sink or swim, and the way that she stepped up to the piano and she
Mhm.
said, "You know what? Have nothing to lose." It was so powerful, and I want to ask, in that moment, she lost belief, I think. She lost so much, and she had already lost a lot, right?
Yeah.
Was that a moment for you to point out creative theft, or what happens when someone who already feels unprotected and like they've lost so much betrayed you? Did you want to portray that betrayal again, and how she stepped out of it? What were you thinking? You broke I was like, "Oh my god, my heart is
Yeah.
broken," but then
Yeah.
when I listened to the masterpiece, I was like, "Whoa." It was almost like a rebirth. That's what it
Uh-huh.
felt. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like.
We do have that in our business, right? But it was also about when you are at your lowest, there's some kind of rebellion that comes within, right? And that's exactly what she needed to find herself. Yeah, because
Oh my
she
god.
she need that rebellion. She need that you know what it. Yeah.
It's interesting because as life has it, we all have those challenging moments, right? We sometimes have to hit sort of that rock bottom to kick ourselves back up and say, "No, I'm not gonna let this get to me." Was that
Yeah.
personal for you? Because it felt so intense for me. Was there something there? Because it felt
Very
very
personal.
personal.
Yes, very personal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing
of
that. I
course.
felt it. Now, I don't want to leave you without asking you this question, because I think it's important that we share something that can help anyone listening. For young people who are aging out the foster care system, or adults in a vulnerable place in their lives, Where do you believe their power lies? What can you share with us to help us tap into that magic?
I truly believe we all have it. We can all find our voice at some point in our lives, and I think that that's no, that's what the message is, right? I mean, finding your voice. That's the process. That's what we all have to do, or we will all dream with doing at some point, right? And it's a very tough process. It's a very, very tough process. But I think that if you have a passion, you are gonna be able to get through anything because at the end of the day, you're going to sit at your desk. And if you're doing your passion, you're going to be smiling, even if it's tough, right? Even if it makes you cry, even if it's killing you inside, right? At the end of the day, it's going to make you feel good too. So it's in your passion. And as you are doing that, you'll find your voice too.
Sergio, thank you so much. I won't forget that because I recently just found my voice. So thank you so much. Can you share with everyone how we can find you and Becoming Vera?
Absolutely. If you Google Becoming Vera, you're gonna find the screening times and the theaters that we're gonna be at. We're screening in Los Angeles. It's a limited release and it's going we are premiering on the 20th. That's this Friday. And then we're gonna go for 7 days. And after that, we are planning to go to San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Miami. And then also we will be very soon on platforms. But this movie, you need to watch it on the big screen. So make sure to come and enjoy the show.
Well, thank you for sharing Vera's story and sharing a little piece of you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of AW Confidential. A gift is powerful, but belief, it's survival. For the thousands of young people who are aging out of the foster care each year, the real battle isn't talent, it's opportunity. For those following their dreams, it's belief in themselves and opportunity. And sometimes choosing yourself is the most radical act of love that we can make. I hope that this episode served as inspiration and you continue to follow your dreams. I'll talk to you soon, loves. Bye.